Okay, hi guys. So for the next portion of our video, I am going to be talking about our meeting with our agency. I know Claire, went over everything through the textbook and everything like that, and the concerns and all those kind of things. And so I wanted to go through the meeting with the agency. So I met, well, we both met with, this lady named Stacy Flavin. She has a Master's of Arts. She's an LPC and a CRC, which is a licensed practical counselor. Um, and so she is not a social worker, but she is a counselor. And obviously they're not the same things, but they do very similar things. Um, and meeting with her is actually very helpful. So we weren't able to actually go into the agency, but we did Zoom with her, which was very helpful as well. So she's actually privately contracted. Her agency is called Find Equals You, and it's an LLC, so it's a privately owned business. She owns her own business, but she is contracted through St. Louis DBT. So, what does she do? So, DBT is dialectical behavioral therapy, which is an evidence-based psychotherapy adapted from cognitive behavioral therapy designed to treat intense emotion, self-harm, and borderline personality disorder. And then I went ahead and linked the thing I got that from. So, how does DBT work? Stacey explained to us that DBT takes a dialectical stance, which means two things can be true at the same time. So DBT looks at biosocial aspects, which means your general makeup and then the environment you grew up in, which is very similar to how we see the person and environment theory, because you got to look at all of the surrounding things instead of just what's going on. And then the first level of DBT focuses on the here and now of a situation, and the second level focuses on dealing with the PTSD and trauma of the past. No. There are four modules of DBT. Um, I don't have a whole lot of information on these different modules and whatever they go into, but I do know what they are. And the first one is core mindfulness. The second one is distress tolerance. The third one is emotional regulation, and the fourth one is interpersonal effectiveness. So the services that they provide is they meet with clients weekly to help with diagnoses, and she explained to us that many of the clients that they deal with have bipolar disorder, which is BPD. They do individual therapy, skills group, coaching calls, and substance abuse help. Um, she explained that each different person within the St. Louis DBT does their own different substance abuse, so they may or may not, depending on if they're trained in that or if they feel comfortable doing that. But Stacy does do this. So I was able to put that on there. And then she explained that they do these different things every day. And so they do individual therapy for 1 hour, then they do skills group for an hour and a half, and then they do coaching calls as needed. So, some policy that affects the agency. Stacey explained that their 24-hour policy is honestly the one thing that affects their agency the most. She said if someone does not cancel within the 24-hour period, they will still be charged the session, which can go along with insurance and even just financial situations within the person themselves. She also explained that they are metadata reporters, so she has to make sure that clients understand that there are three times that the agency slash herself would have to break confidentiality. The first one is if they state they will harm themselves or others. Second one is if they or someone they know are abused a minor or an elder, and three is they are subpoenaed from the courts. I don't know how to spell subpoenaed, so I apologize for that. Harm reduction is another one. A lot of clients have co-diagnoses, so they try to mask their mental health with substance abuse, which turns into a conversation about abstinence and harm reduction. And she explained that sometimes harm reduction is really the only option until she can get the client into full abstinence because of past trauma. Another thing is Federal Law 42 CFR Part 2 and HIPAA. Um, sometimes it makes it challenging because if the clients don't tell you, you may never know. She explained that obviously HIPAA, we all know what should know what HIPAA is. Um, confidentiality, things like that. So you can't go spreading anybody's business. But she explained that when like transfer agencies or, making that um like change to, okay, we're gonna change this agency, or I'm gonna put you in this place, or we're gonna recommend you here. She can't always share everything, or the agency can't always share with her. So sometimes a lot of clients will hide substance abuse, and not tell the practitioners, and so then they don't know about it, and then it becomes an underlying issue. Then we have insurance, which kind of tied into to the 24-hour policy, which is there's never a guarantee that insurance is going to pay. So she went on to explain that she charges the insurance after the session, but if the insurance does not pay for it, the client is still required to pay. So it can turn to a financial disparity, or the clients might not be able to get services due to financial reasons, which can cause problems in the future. And then marijuana usage. Marijuana is not federally passed, but in Missouri it is legal. But she explains to me that clients overuse and don't know their limits, so then it becomes into a bigger issue. And the last one is the 988 implementation. She said this is really good because people aren't scared to call for help because of law enforcement. She said that even the fact that CIT works with law enforcement can be an issue. They show up with them, to the point where Stacy has actually volunteered to take a client instead of having CIT and law enforcement involved because they don't want their clients to feel pressured. All right. So then I wanted to go ahead and go back to the successes and concerns that Claire talked about earlier, because I wanted to kind of draw it into what Stacey had talked about, and things like that. So one success is expanded access to treatment, integrated of behavioral health services into primary care, and community health centers has expanded its services for an underserved population. This allows treatment as routine medical care. There's also been a decline in overdose deaths. Yay. And then growing recognition of mental health needs. Mental health is increasingly recognized as a major public health issue. I saw the statistic that said about 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year, which leads policymakers to expand crisis services, suicide prevention programs, and community-based mental health care. Some of the concerns are limited access to treatment. This kind of ties into insurance. Um, it says while access has expanded, about half of people with substance use disorders do not get good care, whether that be because they don't seek it, or because financially they can't get it, or because it's overlooked. They just don't end up getting very good care. There's also workforce shortages, lack of professionals like psychiatrists, psychologists, and social workers. There's just not a lot of people in the field, or not enough people in the field to help everyone that needs to be helped. And then continued high rates of mental illness and addiction. While the decline of overdose deaths and things like that, obviously, a lot of people have mental illnesses and a lot of people have addiction, whether that go treated or untreated, it is still a factor. And then that is all that I had to talk about. But I mean, this is online. But if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. So please email us because I am happy to answer any questions. Thanks, guys.